This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. Violence in New Eden by Kalin Ringkvist. Introduction. I wrote my first two novels between 1999 and 2003. Looking back now, I feel like I had an unhealthy perspective on them. I was convinced they were amazing, revolutionary, that they would change the face of modern literature, but deep down inside, I think I knew they were crap. So in 2002, I went back to school, almost on a whim, to study web development. In my second year, I fell in love with a technology called Flash ActionScript, which, well, for the purposes of this book, it's just another programming language. For the next 5 years, I focused on developing my career and almost completely gave up on writing stories. I knew something would eventually bring me back, but I wasn't sure when. In 2006, a friend introduced me to a game called EVE Online, a dark sci-fi massive multiplayer game designed for nerdy people who like a brutal and unforgiving atmosphere. It didn't take long before I was hooked. Something about the mood of EVE Online immediately jumped out at me. The loneliness of space, the incredible technologies designed for war and destruction. There are many things I love about EVE Online, like the complex mathematical puzzles, its unique leveling system, beautiful scenery, the subtle and moody but entrancing music, and the brutal player versus player opportunities. In the end, what I remembered most was just looking down on my ship and wondering about the people inside. By 2008, I was spending most of my time working on programming projects or playing EVE. Web development was finally getting boring, so it made sense that I start back into storytelling by writing EVE fan fiction. I started with my novel, Against a Rock, which, unlike my first two crappy novels, is available on Amazon. It started as a short story intended to be a simple tribute to an alliance I had joined in-game. It stalled out when I realized I couldn't finish it within a reasonable length. Then a couple months later, after a shot of inspiration on the bus, I started it again as a much longer piece. I started reading samples from the massive amounts of EVE fiction, both fan-written and official. EVE is beautifully complex and simplistic at the same time. It contains thousands of inhabited planets and trillions of people, so it has countless story opportunities and always a chance to create your own world within the greater universe. It has advanced technology like cybernetic enhancements, artificial intelligence, DNA modifications, and powerful weapons. But for me, it's what EVE does not have that makes it so beautiful. There are no creatures that did not evolve from modern-day people or animals. There's no time travel. There is nothing in the game that feels magical, with the possible exception of stargates, faster than light travel and instant communication, which were necessary for it to function as a video game. As much as was possible, it is based in the gritty and challenging real world of hard science fiction. There are no transporters or replicators here. Not everyone gets fed. Human beings have not improved. 10,000 years in the future, and we're still the same old selfish monsters we are today. This kind of backdrop was not what I liked to write 5 years earlier. I wanted my fiction to be uplifting, like Star Trek, with positive messages and people working together. I wanted my writing to be all intellectual, like Robert Silverberg. I didn't want to admit that I liked violence and action. It was probably fitting that something as dark as EVE was what pulled me back into writing and helped me find a new perspective and a balance I'm happy with. I went on to write EVE short stories after the novel. If I remember correctly, The Day She Started Counting was the first one. I had written a book about an American supporter of slavery, so I wanted, out of a sense of loyalty to my in-game race, to show that not all Americans are the same. This is still one of my favorite stories out of everything I've ever written. I tried to give it some fun messages about moral values, growing up, bigotry, parenting, and self-confidence. All this around a metaphor for our modern relationship between criminals and law enforcement. More importantly, it has slaves, guns, a car chase, gratuitous violence, and a 12-year-old girl murdering a cop with a cattle prod. The Day She Started Counting. Stepana's fingers wrapped pleasantly around the handle of her father's electric whip as she stepped onto the porch to look out on the
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.